have a cadence through this, but if they want to drop it in the chat, or if they want to, raise their hand, whatever it is, we want to make sure we make today super beneficial for you guys to have some, actionable steps to take away. Anything I can share, I'm an open book.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, I'll set the cadence. Okay, we're at 1:35. I just kind of wanted to give 5 minutes for the everybody in my office shows up exactly on time. I think it's these other offices that are joining us that just don't understand. No, I'm teasing. But no, I'm super excited to have Ken. I've had the pleasure of sharing the stage with him, I think, once before on a panel, and I know I've taken some notes till my hands started to cramp up when I heard him speak. So just a fascinating. I think Ken is I would love to say it's the future of real estate, but Ken represents, in my opinion, I'll say it, the future of real estate and real estate activities, in the use of communication of your value proposition through the channels that I keep saying the future, but it's kind of the today, it's kind of the now, but it's definitely going to be a part of our future. So through the resource of YouTube and stuff. But first, Ken, can you tell us just how long you've been in real estate? When did you get started? Why did you get started in real estate? And we'll kind of start from there and we'll work our way into this, because I think your journey is going to be very similar to where a lot of people are today.
Yeah, man. First of all, thanks for having me, by the way. I think it's just super cool that you guys would do this. So hopefully we'll bring away some cool stuff from today. But I got into real estate. I lived in Detroit up until just 4 years ago. But I got into real estate. I had this passion. I found these, you guys remember VHS tapes? I'm not that old, but VHS tapes has been a long time ago. My parents bought this no money down program when I was 12 or 13. There were the VHS tapes of how to buy real estate, no money down.
Carlton Sheets, if I can.
Yeah. Exactly right. Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, buddy. So,
or it was Russ Whitney. It was either Carlton Sheets or Russ Whitney.
Yeah, buddy. So, they put it on a credit card and never watched it, but I did a ton, and I got the bug as a teenager. And so I bought my first house at 18. I flipped 20 houses by the time I was 21, and then the market completely fell apart in Detroit, as it did in Cleveland and all over the country. And so in 2008, I got into full-time sales. I built up a team with Keller Williams in Michigan. We did about $40 million in 2016 for about $1.2 million in GCI. And then my wife and I said, we can do this anywhere. Real estate happens all over the country the same exact way, pretty much. And so why don't we start over? And so late 2016, we moved to Orlando, not knowing anybody other than Mickey Mouse. And last year, we closed $73 million and 193 sides, our fourth year here in Orlando.
Wow, fantastic. So when you got to Orlando, again, other than Mickey Mouse, so tell me about that. So you land in Orlando, you're already successful. You have the basic tenants, concepts, models, you understand what to do, but you move in, and on day one, what do you do? Where did you start in that process?
Well, to be quite frank and whatever candid, I had money, but I didn't know anybody. And so I was like, I'm just going to go completely opposite of what I did in Detroit, which was building a big database, marketing to a list, building relationships. That stuff takes time. And so I was like, you know what? I got some money saved up. I'm just going to go all in on radio and Zillow and hire some ISAs and just go completely everything that I don't really know to be true in my own business and how I like to operate. And in 6 months, I burned through $130,000, and I was not getting any return. And I was like, I'm going to pump the brakes, because if I want to stay in Orlando and I have to run back to Detroit, I need to figure this out. And so I just went back to building relationships. And through that, I was like, I'm going to build some relationships with some builders. And, I bet you I could shoot some videos for these guys and throw them up on YouTube, and maybe that would bring in some leads. And then in 2017, we went really deep into YouTube. And so last year, we closed just over $20 million directly from YouTube leads, people that called me, hey, we found you on YouTube, we're moving to Orlando, we want you to be our real estate agent. On top of that, we also had an increase in agent referrals, more sphere business, all of that kind of stuff because of the video stuff we're going to talk about today. But yeah, so now we don't spend any money on lead gen other than loving on our database and video.
Awesome. So 20 million off of YouTube. That's incredible. And 5 years ago, you got to Orlando, you knew nobody, and now you're doing, what was the number that you did this year?
So yeah, 73 million for 193 sides. We've already done We just passed the $30 million closed and pending number year to date. So we should crank through 100 million by the end of the year.
So your strategy is, do you feel like the strategy through YouTube is that getting more and more successful, or is it sort of, so you're kind of like the innovator, you're the first one in the market with this with YouTube?
Yeah, I mean, there's one other agent that does fairly well, although they don't have a team. They just kind of run and gun themselves. It's just model home tours, where we've kind of taken that and said, okay, we're going to grow and become like the go-to brand for Orlando. So anytime you think Orlando, you think the Pozek Group, and that's kind of whether it's an agent referral, somebody online searching, SEO wise, or somebody in our database, we've positioned ourselves that way. And so year one, we only closed 2 deals off of YouTube, and I shot over 100 videos that first year, right? So I was sticking with it and not getting a lot of results. I mean, my average video was getting 10 views, 12 views, like nothing crazy. And then now, I've got one video, it's got over 165,000 views on it. And so year one, we got like 2 sales. Year 2, it was like 7 or 8 sales. Year 3 was like 12 sales. And then last year it was 41. So it was definitely that hockey stick kind of deal, right? And then this year we've already put over 20 homes under contract just from YouTube.
And I'm going to let the silence I want that to sink in, marinate with everyone. Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, okay. So you're a valid source. I always like to understand, who we're listening to today. So hopefully we've grabbed everyone's attention. Maybe tell us, your strategy and kind of like walk us into, I'm a new agent, my team leader, Greg, said, please jump on this. And Ken, just so you know a little bit about what I'm coaching to my office is there's 3 basic ways to build business. There's prospecting based business, which I think most brokerages really hammer, where you're hitting the phones and they're saying get ISAs and, call the heck out of everybody. Then there's networking based, which a lot of realtors naturally are because you're friendly and you go out and everybody just loves you. And those folks are really struggling with, up here up north, we're still wearing masks and we're doing all that. I know you're in Florida, so it's just different, but so the networking people, they have a kind of they're the ones getting hit the hardest, I believe. And then there's marketing based, where you create this marketing and people come at you. So I've been pushing marketing, and a lot of times the question that comes back is exactly how, like, what are the channels of communication? What can I do? And so just so to kind of prepare you on why I feel like I had Seychelle Van Poel last month, right? And she's huge marketing and just, right? And then you're like the master specifically of many things, but this channel of YouTube. Walk us into that. I'm a new agent. I don't even, like, for example, who here has a YouTube channel with, like, okay, if you have a YouTube channel, let me try to think of a question I can ask in the chat. How many videos do you how many people, let's do it this way. How many people on this, the Zoom right now have a YouTube channel with more than 10 videos currently on the YouTube channel? And just kind of put it out there just to kind of get a feel for how many, just do a thumbs up or I do or something like that in the chat. So, okay. So, Rob Gaines got 12, Noah barely just made over 10, but, I think we've got, I'm not sure how many people we got on here, but I felt like we had a pretty good group out there. Okay. So what you're seeing is this sort of anemia of this anemic, no one's really using YouTube. So tell us where to start. Tell us what to do. How are you doing this?
Well, so I think the biggest thing that agents get caught up in with video is, we've all heard of BombBomb by now, right? And so, hey, I'm going to shoot a video, send it to my database. A lot of people get stuck into like mortgage updates or the real estate market update. And the thing that you have to realize is that nobody cares. Nobody cares about what the interest rates are doing, on a month-to-month basis, right? Maybe they care. Like we bought our house in our most recent house we bought in like late 2019. We just refinanced because I'm like, why am I paying 3.75 when I can get down to 2.25? You know what I mean? Like I care about that, but like if you hit me over the head for the past year and a half with interest rate talk, I would have tuned you out or unsubscribed. What people care about is how can you help them in their current situation? And so their current life and like, how do we know what people care about? Well, they search it online. And so YouTube is the second biggest search engine, second to Google. And who owns YouTube? Google. Yeah. And so we want to play really well with them. And so, so I started shooting videos around stuff that people would actually search for. And so, if you want to be like,
Can I ask you about that? You just said YouTube, and I don't think people know that YouTube is the world's second biggest search engine, but I don't understand. I don't go to YouTube and search anything. What, like you're telling me?
But you go like Greg, when was the last time, like you, maybe not you, but like some normal people, like if you have to like fix a toilet and you're like, how the heck does this work? Like, I can't figure it out, whatever. You go on, you Google, and then, one of the first results is a YouTube video, and you click on that and boom, now all of a sudden you're watching Handyman John from Detroit, and here's how I fix my toilet, and all of a sudden you're a rock star and your wife's like, patting you on the back, right? So so same thing with somebody's moving to Cleveland and they're like, you know what, Dan Gilbert's company, they're hiring me to move to Cleveland and I'm super stoked, or maybe you're not stoked, and so you want to know what the crime rates are, or the best schools, or what the jobs are, or you know what, I really want to live in downtown, are there any condos that I can buy, or what's life like in Cleveland? I don't freaking know, like what's the average weather like? There's all things people are searching. And the cool thing is you can go to google.com, doesn't cost you anything. You go to the top search bar and you start typing in moving to Cleveland. And there's going to be moving to Cleveland and probably 5 other things that people, that it's going to autofill, right? We've all been on Google where it'll autofill for you. The way that Google autofills is based on people's search patterns. So you look and figure out, just go on Cleveland and see what autofills, and then make a video about whatever people are searching for. Why is that important? Because that's how you get found, and that's how you get views. And then through asking people for good content, or, hey, listen, if you enjoyed this content, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because we're putting out content like this every single week about here, life in Cincinnati or whatever it is. And through that, you'll build a following over time by providing good information that people actually care about.
Beautiful. Okay. Thank you for that. I think when you said that, I know that probably set people back. And as far as it's a search engine, I don't think everyone looks at YouTube and says that's a search engine, right? So that was super helpful. So what you're saying is like, go see what autofills. So in Columbus, Ohio, which is where our office is, right? So you're saying go to Google and say maybe Columbus, Ohio. How would we start the long tail? I know what autofills. Say Columbus, Ohio, and then say real estate. And then just see what
real estate, you could do homes, you could do, I don't know if Columbus has like a downtown area, but you could do like the
we
top.
We do
top...
actually have a downtown. It's so.
All right, fair. So like downtown living, or best neighborhoods in downtown living, or best downtown Columbus neighborhoods, right? I'm sure will pop up. Or if you type in Columbus downtown, it's going to autofill, and then you're going to be able to create videos based off of kind of what it's telling you people are searching for. And so, go ahead.
So just for your, and I apologize, but for your, for tomorrow or for this upcoming week, what are some videos that you're going to do in your world? Like what's inspiring you on such a consistent basis over a 5-year period? You did 100 videos in your first year, and you've been doing it for 5 years. So how do you keep coming up? Because I know people ask me, well, what should I do a video on? Right. And the only thing I ever think about is try to solve somebody's problem. Right. Yeah. That's the first thing. But tell us what you do and how you consistently come up with good content.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's stick with the Columbus analogy. Does everybody live in Columbus, or are there suburbs?
Suburbs. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool. So then what's a couple of the suburbs?
I guess Dublin would be considered, or Marysville, or Lancaster. We'll say Marysville, for example.
Okay, Marysville, right? So Lancaster, Dublin. So you're going to do a video on moving to Columbus, the 5 reasons not to move to Columbus, the 10 reasons why people love moving to Columbus, and then you do the same thing for Dublin, Maryland, blah, blah, blah. Now you've got 3 months of content that I just gave you right there. That's 12 videos, right? And so you're putting 1 out a week, and that's it, right? And so it's constantly just putting out very similar, like if you go on my YouTube channel, like there's like moving to Orlando is a tag that I use a ton because there's a lot of people moving here. So I'm going really hard into that. But then I also throw out, like, I did a video on Shaq's house because he lives in Orlando, right? And so, that's the one that got like 165,000 views. And so, and that wasn't my listing, by the way. I called the listing agent. I said, hey, I know this thing's been stale for a while. I'm curious. Can I bring my videographer with me? And we want to just do a quick tour. And so that was amazing content for my database. It was amazing content for my subscribers. And I've gotten a couple luxury buyers from that video. So like, it plays super well.
Okay. And I'm going to pause. Everybody see the value of being a part of Keller Williams? See that right there? That was some genius stuff right there. I'm trying not to use profanity, but that was genius. That's genius. So you reached out to a competitive realtor. He or she is struggling with this listing. Can I come out there, do that? And then you just banged out 176,000 views on a video. That realtor could have done it themselves, but did they?
Well, funny thing is they did. The title's garbage. The description was meh. The thumbnail wasn't that great. And so like having done this for a while, and we could talk a little bit about geeky strategy that way, but like her video got like, 2,000 views and mine got 80 times that, just because I understand how YouTube works.
So does everybody want to get a little geeky on this as far as what he just said, as far as the thumbnail? And I see a bunch of, okay. So okay. So you had said, okay, the first thing you said that was really powerful is the title was garbage. Tell me about that. Why?
It was like local celebrity's mansion was hers, right? And I'm like, nobody's searching that, right? So I think mine was Shaq's $16 million home in Orlando, Florida, right? And so like it ended up it finally did sell. She was like the fourth agent. And as soon as it hit like ESPN that he had sold his house, like all of a sudden people are searching Shaq's home in Orlando, and like my video shows up and hers doesn't, And so like, boom, my search traffic goes through the roof. I get a ton of subscribers, all that kind of thing. And we started getting calls for people that are actually moving, not in the $16 million range, but like, hey, I saw you're obviously comfortable with that house. You could sell me $1 million home, right? I sure can. So, that was what we did.
So what I heard, oh, go ahead.
No, so the title is super important. I mean, your title is the number one thing YouTube pays attention to in terms of keyword search. So if somebody's going to Google to search moving to Columbus, you better have something about that in your title. And then the next most important piece is the description. In the first two, like, please God, never name your next listing video that you do on a house, quaint downtown bungalow. Nobody's searching that. And even if they do, you're not going to rank high because there's already been 1,000 of other realtors that are going to bury your video, right? It's going to be, you're going to name it something like downtown Columbus loft, or, something that's going to be a little bit more, wow, or a little bit more searchable. And then the thumbnail can be wow. It can be like, a little bit more flashy. And that's where you kind of show off, because the next piece is the thumbnail. Now, if you have 10 of the same exact videos that all have very similar titles and descriptions, the next most important piece is somebody going to click on your video or not? If you don't get a click through, then they're never going to see it. You're never going to get found. And YouTube knows that if nobody's clicking on your thumbnail, that your video is probably trash. Even if it's not, that's what they think. And so they'll bury your video. So having great thumbnails is also a very important piece to this.
And explain what a great thumbnail means. Like, okay, so I have a house, I have a home tour. Yep. What is the thumbnail I'm looking for?
So like a home tour, so showing off like the most incredible piece in the background, but then it's also like, so if you go with search a guy named Derral Eves, Derral, last name Eves, he's like a YouTube savant. Guy just basically he's not a real estate agent. He just teaches people how to grow YouTube. They've done all of these studies now on what thumbnails get clicked over other ones. So like having certain colors in the background, being able to see the white of someone's eyes, right? So it's not like you standing back in the room talking about like how great it is. It's like literally like you showing off the house like this is more clickable than me standing behind the tub, right? So like all of that kind of stuff matters. And so feel free to go to my YouTube channel and swipe what I'm doing. But the other thing I would say is type your title into YouTube, look at what the top 10 searches are, and then create a thumbnail that's something different. Because all of a sudden you're going to stand out to what your competition's already done. Beautiful.
Okay. So Derral Eves, he has a whole, what you're saying, he has a whole channel on like do
you know, like on how to grow a YouTube channel, but I mean, like, do you guys know who Mr. Beast is? Does anybody know who Mr. Beast is?
No.
So Mr. Beast is like a 26-year-old kid. He's like the second biggest YouTuber. He makes millions and millions and millions of dollars. Derral works for Mr. Beast, basically creating his channel. And so like the guy's got some very real world crush it knowledge. And so that's where I learned a lot of this stuff from.
And the one thing is, the one thing that I noticed, because we have a media production company now, and we're doing a lot of that stuff, and it was fascinating to watch how important that thumbnail is. So I'm glad you nailed that. I mean, we're amateurs, like you're a pro, but we did notice that if we had a picture of the front of the house with the address, it would get like 4 views. Nobody cared. But if you got even so much as putting a person in it, then people were clicking at like 100 versus 2. I mean, it was obvious that something was going on there. We just didn't know what it was or what's happening there, the psychology.
Yeah.
You said colors. Like, how does that affect a clickability rate?
Well, like if it's like an all black background and all of your competition is red, right? Like, I mean, like you're going to be drawn to one or the other. And so the cool thing about YouTube is you can actually swap out thumbnails. Like on an underperforming video, you can swap out some. So like I just posted a new video today, and YouTube gives you all these really cool analytics on like what people are clicking on and what they're not clicking on. So if I see that my video is underperforming in the first couple hours, I have a backup thumbnail that I'll make sure. So I just posted this one an hour ago. It's at 360 views already, which is outperforming. I found out that a blue background with my face and some white lettering does fairly well for me. So I just kind of recreate that. But that took testing, right? I used to use a red background and my views were lower. So like, it's just a lot of trial and error through this stuff, which might sound like a lot of work because it is, but like we literally will do over $1 million in GCI this year from YouTube. So once you get going, it definitely pays off.
Now, do you have a marketing team that does this, or do you just geek out on your own and do this?
So taking you back to like 2017, when I started out, it was literally like myself and my cell phone, my Mac and free software. And I did everything myself. I uploaded, I distributed, I did everything. Now I show up for the shoot and I do the thumbnails, and that's pretty much it. So I've got a team now that does a lot of this.
So you've held on to that thumbnail, like you're saying, so you do the title, the description, and the thumbnail, or just you do all of it? That's the science. You're like the mad scientist, it sounds like, when it comes
to.
Yep. Okay. So you left off a certain point. You were talking about, like I had talked about solving problems, but you said nobody cares. Nobody cares about financing. You said go into the search engine and see what auto fills, but how do I know what they care about? I think the number one thing continues to be content development. I know you just gave me some examples. I mean, is that really, I guess, help me explain for more content. What's another area, or maybe some more examples of content? Because I really feel like that's where people are going to struggle. Like, what do I do?
Super good question. So like the other thing I think we do fairly well is that it's not all, like this is going to sound very counterproductive to everything you and I have been taught, Keller Williams eyes. And I think that not everything is about lead gen, even though everything I do has a very lead gen purpose, right? And so let me like back up. Like we've done the best pizza in Orlando. Are people going to watch the best pizza in Orlando and then call me to sell their house? Probably not, but will they subscribe to my channel and then I can drip on them real estate over the next 5 years until they buy or sell? Yes. So I look at videos of like 3 different ways. I've got like different buckets that we do. We've got lead generation videos. So that would be like you're moving to Columbus kind of deal. Okay. We've got like entertainment. So like, hey, that's good. People will probably search that, but then it's not really like, has nothing to do with like real estate per se. And then I do have some very real estate specific videos, right? Like where it's like the top 5 reasons the market's going to crash in 2021. And people click on that. You add some fire to the thumbnail, a little down arrow, and people are going to like, wait a minute, the market's going to crash. I want to click on that, right? It's a little clickbaity, but I tell them like, listen, here's the 5 reasons why people say the market's going to crash. And at the end, I'm going to tell you why I disagree. Boom, let's get into it. And then, that kind of stuff. So yeah, David says clickbait. It's clickbait because it's not clickbait because I actually deliver on the promise of the thumbnail. It's not like I tell them one thing and then I bring them completely something else. I tell them, hey, listen, here's the 5 reasons why people think the market's going to crash, but I don't. And so we're constantly doing these buckets. And so the cool thing about that is I can send these exact same videos out to my database. Like we all know we need to be keeping in front of our database all the time. But the cool thing is like we have a 68 touch program at this point with our database. They get a video from us every single week. That's 52. And then we've got market updates that kind of follow behind that and some client parties. But I'm doing these entertainment videos like the Shaq video. My past clients loved that, right? And so it's a lead generation, but it's also entertainment and kind of continuing to build the brand.
Fantastic. How you keep saying also building the thumbnail. Do you use Canva or what? How do you build these thumbnails? Like maybe people aren't very tech savvy. How do I create a thumbnail?
Yeah, so I use PicMonkey, PICmonkey.com. It's like they've got, the cool thing about them is you can say, hey, I'm going to post this piece of art that I'm going to create. It literally, you have a drop down menu and say, I'm creating a YouTube thumbnail. I'm creating a YouTube banner ad. I'm, whatever it is, and it'll completely compress and make sure it's exactly the right size so it fits perfectly. And then the rest of it's drag and drop. Like, I'm not a very creative guy, and it's easy.
Okay, wonderful. What do you, I mean, and I don't want to direct you away from that true knowledge that you want to share with us. So as I'm asking you questions, I also want you to kind of lead us in the direction that we need to be going in. So what are you thinking, like start to finish? So now you've got the content, you've got the thumbnail, you've got a great title, description being number 2, number 3. I've heard like, what else? Like when you're speaking, I know that YouTube, tell us about YouTube and how it listens to you. Does that matter as from the search engine optimization? And guys, what we're talking about is how do we show up? How do we appear in the search engines and stuff? Tell us what else is number 3 and 4, for example.
Yeah, so going back to the description real quick before we move on, I don't know if I kind of like spaced out on the thumbnail thing. And so the description, you want to get to what it's about in the first 2 lines. So like you've got the title, moving to Columbus, or top 5 reasons to move to Columbus. And then underneath it, you want to say like, in today's video, we're talking about the top 5 reasons to move to Columbus. I've been a lifetime, long time. Then you can kind of get going with the rest of your description, but you want your key term, right, in that first couple sentences, because YouTube's going to look at the title, they're going to look at the description, make sure that the description makes sense. Then they're also going to, like, very last on the list, if I had to say number 4 or 5, would be the tags. And so tags is in there, and you sit in there, like some YouTubers that have 10 million views or 10 million subscribers already, they're not focused as much on the tags, but tags allow you to teach YouTube what your videos are about. And so essentially, I'm only trying to add 5 or 6 great tags to my videos. So moving to Orlando, real estate in Orlando, realtor in Orlando, all those kind of things are my go-tos. So I'm kind of constantly teaching YouTube what my videos are about.
Awesome. So that's how you're found. There's some content in there. You've got the thumbnails. Tell me about how are you winning? How many leads a day do you get off of YouTube?
We're up to 5 or 6 a day at this point.
Okay. And that costs you how much?
The video, creating the video, that's it.
I'm just throwing that out to all my Zillow people who are on the Zillow crack that I'm trying to get. Okay. So
yeah, and the cool thing is, I mean, you post it and forget it. So even if like I don't create another video for the next year, like I still have content out there creating leads for me, and that's the cool thing. Like, and the other beautiful thing about YouTube stuff is, or any kind of like branding online stuff, like they're ready to work with you. Like it's very low funnel kind of stuff. Like if you had to think like Facebook pay-per-click is like up top of the funnel, like they don't know who you are, you're a commodity to them. We're way down at the bottom of the funnel, and so they're like literally. I booked a listing appointment today. This guy calls me like, hey, my wife is like obsessed with your YouTube channel. We're selling and moving to Miami. We've been watching you for like 2 years. We want you to come list our house. I'm like, oh, cool. So are you interviewing other agents? Tell me a little about the process. Nope, you're it. Cool. All right. Well, I'm coming by. Right. So that's a really powerful thing.
Yeah, the come list means that's free money. And here's the deal, like the inventory in Florida, is it the same as everywhere else? It's all chewed up right now. There's nothing, no one can get a listing. But
yeah, and I would say 95% of the leads we get are buyer leads at this point. But that's because, I think that the longer that my brand exists and the more subscribers stay on for longer, that'll start to turn to more and more listings. And we're starting to see that shift right now.
Do you feel like, how much prospecting does your team do? Or tell me about your team. I'm sorry. What do you have on your team?
Yeah, so we've got 4 agent partners, and then we just brought on our 3rd operations person.
Okay, and how much like cold calling do you do on a daily basis? Your schedule for the day?
0.
Okay, so from this marketing based strategy that you have, people are calling you, and you're doing crazy business, and they're calling because they like what they see. So let me open, and please guide us. But I mean, we can open it up to questions and stuff. I'm doing my best asking the questions that I think these folks want to hear about, but obviously, what do you think we're missing here too as well?
Yeah, I think there's two things around it. Like I think people, like why agents don't do more video. One would be like maybe they don't know what to do. Like we just talked about video ideas, and like you can literally come up with them. all the time. And then like also doing videos about like what people start asking you about. Like I've noticed that I had a lot of people would say, I'm trying to decide, do I want to live in like Horizon West or Lake Nona? And I was like, I heard that enough times. I was like, that's a video I need to do. So I did a video of Lake Nona versus Horizon West, showed two photos next to each other. And I'm like going like this on the thumbnail. And like I had thousands of views and like at least 3 or 4 people a week reach out and they're like, hey, I found your video because I was Googling Horizon West or Lake Nona. And like, lo and behold, you popped up and I went down this rabbit hole and watched all of your videos and like, you're my guy. And so like that stuff gets to be easier and easier as you go. And so I would say that's it. And then the other thing, like I don't script any of my videos. And like one tip I would tell you guys as you're shooting content is like, it doesn't need to all be one take, right? Because you can edit out the ums and the, cuss words or whatever you don't want to do.
How do you edit out?
So like, I was using for the first 2 years iMovie. So it's like literally like you drag it from your iPhone. If you're an iPhone person or an Android, I'm sure it works the same, but you can drag it and drop it onto the timeline and literally just the same way you would like editing a video on your iPhone, which is super easy. But most of us know how to edit a video on there. It's the exact same interface on iMovie. Then you can drag in some music and then you upload it directly to YouTube. It's very, very cut and dry on it's hard to mess up, honestly. But what I would say is when you're kind of doing your videos, I always think about like, what's the journey I want to take the buyer on? So say it's like moving to Columbus. Why do people want to move to Columbus? Okay. Or what are they thinking in that process? They want to know location, pricing, home types, maybe schools. So there's your 4 topics you're going to hit. Then you're just going to turn your video on, like grab your iPhone, grab a gimbal, which like, I think the DJI gimbals are like $200 are great. Just makes it to where your phone doesn't look all wonky. And you don't even need a mic because you're talking right at your phone, right? It's a very easy setup. And so you're just going to click, hey, this is Ken Pozek. I'm here in Columbus. I'm downtown today. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about real estate in downtown Columbus, right? And so you hit that one piece and then your next chunk and then your next chunk. And then basically it makes a very easy path of the video. And you don't have to script it. It doesn't have to be weird. It makes your nerves go way less. And so that's kind of how we run all of our videos.
Yeah, because I think the creation, now that we have the idea and the description and okay, so I want to do a video. Yeah, it's how do you keep, does it matter the video itself being interesting, or can you really just kind of walk down the sidewalk and, and how long should it be and why does that matter? The kind of those details, thoughts on that?
Yeah, great, really great question. So my best performing video is not with the ones that I've done with my videographer, although like my Shack video got the most views. The one that I had the second most views and by far the most leads from was literally the one that I did in 2018 of me walking around Celebration, Florida. And it was the top 10 reasons to move to Celebration, Florida. And it was literally just me. I would click, number one is, hey, we're right by Disney. If you're a Disney fan, this is the town that Disney built. It's an amazing place, blah, 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 blah. And then click it off. Number two is, hey, real estate's super affordable. HOAs are great. There's good schools and pools, right? And that was it. I had 135,000 views and I get multiple leads a week from that. And so that's the strategy behind it in regards to like how simple it can be. Now I do add, I flip around my camera every once in a while. I'll show the pool. I'll show kind of like the downtown area because people want to know a little bit visually about what you're talking about. But the more you do, the easier it gets.
Okay. No, that's impressive. Let's see. Oh, I was getting at one thing too, from an SEO standpoint. When you speak, is that also part of SEO? Does like YouTube listen to what you're saying to try and determine if the video is
yeah,
that...
I mean, so you should probably say your title somewhere in the views. I mean, most of the time it's naturally you're talking about your title when you're shooting the video. But yeah, they've said that they pay attention to what you're saying. They also, if you want to transcribe your videos, that's like next level. Like you can hire companies for like $1 a minute to transcribe your videos. You upload that into what YouTube's doing, and that bumps your SEO as well. I haven't done it yet though.
Okay. No, and I don't want to go too deep with, if you haven't done it, I'm fairly confident none of us are going to do it anytime soon. So let's see, we've got some good questions coming in. Thank you guys. Are you seeing those come in? I'll let you.
Yeah. So length of video, I think that this is a very important topic. So YouTube will boost your videos and your channel in general, the longer you keep people on YouTube. So if you're telling people like, hey, watch this video and then go to, kw.com to look for houses, and YouTube knows that, man, every time people watch their videos, they bounce off somewhere. That's not good, right? So like for me, it's giving another action. So like hit subscribe, look at this video. I'm trying to keep them on as long as possible. But then there's that sweet spot of like for us, we found that like a 6 to 8 minute video is great. It keeps people's attention. The retention amount of the video is really strong. We get like a 68% watch the entire video. And so for us, it's that finding that sweet spot. But a lot of this becomes trial and error, because like I've done YouTube lives before. I did a YouTube live where I literally just talked to my subscribers. It was this setting, just me chatting with them, doing Q&A. It lasted an hour, and I had like hundreds of people watching for that entire hour. And so again, like you just kind of get to get more comfortable about what your audience is willing to watch.
It's funny, as you're sitting here talking to, I've been on Zooms for now a year, since last March, right? Like we all have.
Yeah.
And are you guys picking up on the fact that he's looking right at the camera? I've never felt so engaged. Like you can see I'm off camera a little bit, but that's because I want to show Gary over there in the corner. But anyway,
Yeah.
but watching you, what are you doing something here? Is there a strategy behind what you're doing as far as the distance of where you, like, it seems like you're doing something that makes me feel really connected.
Yeah, I think so. Just, if you look at your screen, you're like this big, and I'm filling up almost the whole screen. And so for me, it's like, for us, let's see, my dude up there, Ryan, I feel like I'm chatting with Ryan, like, he's right there with me. What up, dude? Right. So I think that, as close as you can get, without getting, right up in there, the better. And so I do that with my thumbnails. I do that with all of that stuff. It's a psychological sort of deal. And then when I'm talking to people, yeah, you're looking at the camera, because you should care more about them than you.
Fabulous.
I feel close to you too, Ken. Just
good, all right, man.
Feel real close, buddy.
Yeah, buddy.
No, there is a good feeling that when you're speaking, I mean, you are on stage, just that there's, like you said, there's something psychological going on there, and I feel it with your engagement. I feel more engaged with you than other speakers that I've communicated with. So 6 to 8 minutes. I've heard that after 2 minutes. Like, what am I keying in on that I've heard that you want to keep it under 2 minutes, or, and you got to grab attention in the first 3 to 4 seconds. Is that a different venue? Is that like a different platform than YouTube? Or tell me how YouTube works. Why is that different? Why am I hearing?
Yeah, I love your questions, man. So like, yes. So if you're, I think there's two different differentiations here. So one would be like interruption marketing. So if you're on Facebook and you interrupted someone's feed, and you were trying to get them to stop the scroll. Oh, wait a minute, what's that? And they scroll back. You want to keep that 2 minutes or less, or 90 seconds or less, right? Because you just want to get your message out and get off. On YouTube, it's different. People, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but if I'm trying to like go on YouTube, or I'm going online to like learn something, I'm more committed than I am if I was to get interrupted in something. So, if Gary sent out a video to all of us and it was 10 minutes long, we'd probably all watch it, right? Or if we were like, hey, you know what? I keep losing my listing presentation. Every time I go, I lose listings. I need to go online and watch that coach and learn more, right? You're engaged, right? And so as long as that person's not babbling on and not getting to the meat of the conversation, you're going to be listening. So that's like that science of trying to figure out how can I keep them engaged, but then understanding that like as long as you're teaching them something good and you're keeping the process going, then they're going to keep watching.
Okay. And thank you for helping me with that. What I'm realizing is I'm crossing Instagram. What did you call it? Capture marketing or
interruption marketing?
Interruption marketing. Yeah. Interruption marketing with YouTube, because I'm not very familiar with YouTube. So that's its own language. So speak the language when you're on that platform. And what you're saying is, yeah, they're committed, 6 to 8 minutes, content, you don't have to grab their attention. You just have, now you're more about keeping them in the marathon, keeping them longer. The longer they're on, the more, okay, awesome. Yep. That's fantastic. What other questions? My fear is, because you said you like my questions, but I'm sort of a tech guy, so I don't want to go too deep. I want to make sure I stay in the shallow waters so that people actually get into YouTube and start engaging it in any way, shape, or form. If they don't get into it and make mistakes, they'll never get going. So Ryan's got some great ones. We'll throw out some questions here. Feel free to throw your questions in the chat so we can keep this knowledge pouring out.
Yeah, I would say, someone said, is there an age group that YouTube typically hits? I find like, so if I look at my demographics on my analytics, like I do really, really well in the 40 to 55 crowd. And that's my target in terms of like my home buyer. So that's perfect. So that works really well. If you want to get the teenagers or the millennials, TikTok's maybe where you want to go. I'm not super big over there, and it's not searchable. Once you post it, it's gone. So for me, YouTube's kind of my jam.
Okay, I like what you're saying, the longevity of your effort. Your effort is always there. It doesn't go away. And I'll say, like, I love Instagram stories, but it's 24 hours and it's out, it's gone. So
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah. Someone mentioned like my videographer and the cost and that kind of thing. So like I started free. Like it was literally like my cell phone, me editing, and then I posted. If you have a small budget already, maybe your business is already going, start out with hiring an editor. You can go on Upwork, you can go on Fiverr, you can go on so many different websites that have great video editors. Just vet some of their previous work before you go all in with them. But you could get a like my progression was I did everything myself. Then I hired a videographer or editor for $60 a video. It was literally like I just uploaded it to Dropbox. She downloaded it, cut it up, used my music subscription to drop in the music, and then sent it back within 48 hours. And it was $60. So again, like I think what you're doing in that is you're buying your time back. And I already mentioned earlier on, like my best performing video was the one of just me and my cell phone. So the fact that I got amazing videos now with my videographer who just freaking crushes, it's great. We get a lot of views, but like, it's not like I'm getting more leads because of it. It's just, it's bought my time back and polished our channel up a little bit. That's all.
What about, okay, so are you I'm going to ask a sort of, this will come across in a weird way, but are you a one-trick pony? Like, do you take these videos and put them on Facebook also? And do you have a podcast? Do you do, or like, are you laser focused on this one, like, tell us what your strategy is there.
Yeah, we take the same video and we post it up on our Facebook page, but I'll be honest, like the engagement there is extremely low unless it's a listing video. So if it's a listing video, I put it on Facebook and then I do a geo target around our area, the 10 miles or whatever around the listing, and I boost it. And at the very least, it looks really great to our clients. We pick up very few leads from Facebook though. So for me, I really focus in laser focused on getting leads from YouTube.
Okay. And you do have what about audio and podcasts? Those are kind of like the hot thing happening right now. Have you considered that for your own? I would listen to you. Like, what I mean?
Yeah. So we're working on more content. I mean, like my goal in all of this is to create a media company. And so it becomes like all things Orlando. And so like, whether it's new businesses opening up, I mean, we're in Orlando with the theme park capital of the world. So like, we've got always cool stuff opening here. And by the way, you've got Disney's moving corporate jobs here, and there's just like all these cool things going on. So there's plenty of stuff to talk about. But right now I use YouTube Live as my podcast sort of like outlet. Oh. And so like every other Saturday I host a show, and like I'm bringing in my mortgage guy to do 5 minutes, not the whole show, just 5 minutes on what's going on with real estate. And the rest of it is like, hey, Universal is getting ready to open up Epic Universe. They're spending $1 billion on a new Nickelodeon world and all these other really cool things. Let's talk a little bit about that. And then, oh, by the way, if you guys are looking to buy or sell real estate, like I want to be your resource. And so that was actually another question somebody else asked, is like, what's my call to action? If I could tell you guys another, like a really big tip to take away is really your mindset around video is like, it's not about you. It's for sure about the audience. And that's really all that matters. And so I don't start every video off with, hey, this is Ken Pozek with Keller Williams here in Orlando. And if you want to be a real estate, if you want to buy or sell a house, like I want to be a real estate resource of choice. Now let's get into the video. Like I don't do any of that. It's like, hey, today we're going to talk about the top 5 reasons why people want to move to Columbus. And then we get into it. And at the very end, if I've earned their view, then I'm like, listen, by the way, I'm a real estate agent here in Orlando. So if you have any questions about buying or selling a house, I want to be your real estate resource of choice. So hit that subscribe button as I'm putting out videos every single week, and then reach out. My number is or if you want to shoot me an email, my email is, and then that's it.
That's incredible. Can you throw in your YouTube Live, anything that we can do to follow you, or your link or anything like that? Get subscribers, people hitting bells and stuff. Cause I think there's some value in that. Anything we can do to help out.
Yeah, man. I mean, so it's just Ken Pozek TV is on YouTube. So youtube.com/Ken Pozek TV. And then you'll notice like every other week I'm posting like, hey, I'm doing a live this Saturday at 2:00. And then you can come jump in and join.
And Lisa has a question. How do you stay on top of everything going on in your town? Like where do you get that?
Yeah, great question. So yeah, I do. I mean, like that's the thing. I want to be like the knowledge broker that they can't just, that they might not know about. And so we have something called Growth Spotter here. You might have something similar in your town, but basically, like the Orlando Business Journal is a second one. But they basically got all of these reporters that go out and they're constantly reporting on the new building that's coming in or the new companies that are coming to town. And I just basically make myself a student of Orlando. And so I've literally, while I'm eating breakfast in the morning, I'm going through these websites, checking, screenshotting on my phone, articles to talk about either in videos or on my live. And yeah, it's good.
So do you time block for, I guess one of my previous questions was, how much cold calling do you do, right? So you're not time blocking the way that many brokers and even Keller Williams and stuff will say to time block for cold calling, but are you time blocking specifically for knowledge brokering and for the video creation? Like, tell us how your schedule works around this, because I hear you and it seems exhausting with everything we have going on. We still got to run buyers. You still have to get a listing. You got to do the paperwork. Like, how are you finding the time and compressing it to actually make this an actionable daily event for you?
So like for me, just so like I'm time blocked, right? Like I'm like, that's my guy, right? Like I'm not the kind of guy that's just flying by the seat of my pants. And like of this 90 minutes is lead follow-up. And so like, that's in my time block. It's important to me. Right. And so, so I'll say that first. Secondly, I just do it when I'm going through, literally I'm eating breakfast and I'm going through all of these different websites. Like that's in my morning, I enjoy it. I enjoy knowing what's going on. And the fact, like when you're at a listing presentation, and you're like, hey, did you know about XYZ opening up down the street? And they don't know. Like all of a sudden, like you become even more like you're raising your stock with them, right? And so it's great on videos. It's great for my Facebook Live. It's great for your database. You can use this exact same information to create your weekly email to your database of like, hey, did you guys know that this new restaurant's opening up in town? Every client of mine that buys in the month of March, we're going to give $100 gift cards to the new restaurant, whatever it is. Like, I don't know. But like for us, we're just constantly trying to be that knowledge broker that people are going to care about us between the time that they buy with us and 7 years later when they sell with us. Like, how do I stay relevant in their life in that time? And that to me is just as important as cold calling.
Okay, awesome. I'm just looking at some of the questions. That was really okay. So, and by the way, side note, thank you for fitting us into that schedule, because if you'll notice, it was a solid, what is that, purple all the way through.
Yeah.
So I know we've only got about 5 or a few minutes left here. I know he's got his time block here. We're going to go till 2:30. Any questions? I want you guys to really open it up. I'm doing my best to kind of, ask the questions that I think that you guys want to know and want to understand. And as you saw, I think Ken's willing to answer even the tough questions. So, if you have any cynical or any questions, like be devil's advocate here for a moment and say, hey, YouTube. I mean, there's a reason, Ken, like you're one of the few people, I think you've inspired like a Catherine Rain. I've seen her start to really kick it up a little bit, but I think that was based off of you. If I believe so. But you don't see, 180,000 Keller Williams agents. I mean, how many do you see engaged in YouTube? Maybe I'm just not looking there. Do you see it a lot, or?
I was a handful. There's definitely, I think, when I go to family reunion last year, I was on a panel with 3 other people that are crushing it at a really high level. But yeah, no, there's not a ton that are doing it. And so that's one thing is like, we're still, I feel like, in the infancy of YouTube and what people are doing. And so you have a huge opportunity to implement. And here's the other beautiful thing is like, even if, there's how many people on this call, there's 57, even if 10 of you go out and you all create a moving to Columbus video, the beautiful thing about it is like somebody's going to connect with you over somebody else, right? They're going to have, hey, like somebody else said something in that video that was a little bit different that resonated with me. Oh, they mentioned they have kids. I have kids. They're just going to resonate differently. So there's a lot of room for all of us. And I still think that there's still plenty of opportunity to dive into this and make it a really big play for you.
I think a lot of people too, and I'll go down to the real basic. You know what? I don't look good on camera, and I love what you said earlier. I know where you're going to go, but other than it's not about you, right? What can we do to help these folks get over that and get comfortable in front of the camera?
Yeah, good question. So, we've always heard like time on task over time, and so you can see, I think 320 some videos on my YouTube channel, but like you don't see the 30 that I hid because they were just so bad. And so it wasn't always really comfortable in front of the camera. And so I would say that as often as possible, go live on Instagram, go live on Facebook. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you're going to get. And so maybe if you're doing your video and you time blocked 2 hours to go shoot a video, maybe it takes you 3, and then, it's going to take you less and less time because you're going to go better. Like my videographer calls me one take Ken now, because like I go in, I show up, we shoot it, we leave, I can get in and out in like an hour and I'm done. Whereas it used to take me 2 or 3 hours. Right. And so it takes time to get comfortable. And so I think the more practice you can get, the easier it gets. And so I love going live, because live is actually super hard in comparison. So if you can go live and talk for 5 minutes about anything on Instagram or Facebook, then you can go shoot some video on YouTube where you have the opportunity to edit some of that stuff down.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, because I want to help people get that blocker out of their way and actually do this. And then what about
let me ask you this, like the first time you did an open house or the first time you went on a listing presentation, you sounded stupid. Like it's true. Like I was telling my wife this the other day. I remember the first like $500,000 listing, and $500,000 listing in Detroit was like the whole block. Right. And so so I remember I was like shaking, like I literally was shaking, trying to get through like the old scripts. And I'm like, and like, but then I got better and better, and then I can knock it out. And like, I never get nervous anymore, but it just, you were bad at something at one time that you're now good at. And video is the exact same way.
I love that. That was powerful what you just said there. That's so true. Thank you for that. Just to hit a couple more questions here with the last 4 minutes here. We've got Oliver. Do you interview local businesses? Was a question. And is there a way to buffer or the platform so you go live but have like a buffer or a sort of a Janet Jackson rule kind of thing? I think is what Jennifer's asking about.
A buffer or another platform to pre-record and then it streams as if it was live. No, I literally just click live on YouTube and just go. And so unfortunately, there's no buffer, good and bad. And it's fun. It's a lot of fun that way. But in terms of like do I interview local businesses? That was another question there. I stopped doing that. So like I tried for a long time, and what I noticed was that the owner of the bar wanted to go on and talk for 30 minutes about his origin story. I'm like, listen, nobody's going to watch 30 minutes of like how you learned why hops are cool. Like, it's just not going to happen. And so what I do, I start doing reviews, and I'd call ahead of time, like, hey, I'm a YouTuber in the area, I'm a real estate agent in the area, whatever. Do you mind if I pop by at 1 o'clock? I'm going to do a review on your cookie shop. Heck no, yeah, please come by. They're super happy about it. And then I asked them afterwards, hey, would you mind sharing this on your social media? Like, we did a really well-produced video, giving you glowing praise. And that's a way to kind of like build your following as well.
Okay, we can learn from your challenges there. So we just saved ourselves a ton of time on that one. So I appreciate that. Let's see here. Do you do production meetings with your videographer?
We this is funny. So we've got this cadence now where we shoot every Thursday. Sorry, somebody keeps calling. Every Thursday we shoot from like 8:30 to 12:30 is typically what we do. And that's like shooting 2 videos with some drive time in between. And literally on the way there at 8 o'clock, I'm calling. I'm like, hey, Jay Michael, today, here's what we're shooting. He gives me some feedback based on other videos that we've shot. I talked to him about a couple of different B-roll shots that I might want to get. Hey, while we're in the house, I want to make sure you get the pool area because in this angle, it looks really cool. And then we're good to go. So as soon as we hit there, we've got a really good cadence together that way. But we usually just do it in the car on the way to shoot that morning is usually what we do. But I will tell you is I do write down an outline of each video the night before. So it's like, hey, we're going to go do, if you're going to do the top 5 reasons to move to downtown Columbus, you want to know what those are before you start shooting, right? So just writing them out as if you were telling somebody, over the phone why that's important. That's really where to start.
Awesome. And the other thing is I've seen video kind of go both ways. I think some people may be concerned about damaging their brand or their persona, what they're putting out there. Like, I'm sophisticated luxury, but if I do this video about the local barber shop, that doesn't really fit my brand. Or what would you say about how does brand play into the videos that you're creating? Yeah.
So I think you're the brand. And so if you get your hair cut at a certain place and you think the owner has a cool origin story or like the location's great or the service is great, then you need to do it. You need to do it. People care about the local area, right? And I think the cool thing is if you're propping up somebody else, that always wins. And so my average sales price is fairly high for our area. And I think that, you know, the people that have bought $4 million houses from me from YouTube also enjoy my pizza reviews. And they tell me like, hey, by the way, like we went and checked out the Lineage coffee down the shop. You're right. They are freaking awesome. We bought a bunch of beans when we were there, blah, blah, blah. Right. So I think that they play really well together because people that buy luxury homes are people too, right? They need to go to the dry cleaner and all the other places. So.
That's fantastic. Well, you've got over 50 of that, you know, the 80-20 rule, the 20% of the realtors that are doing 80% of the business. You got 50 plus some of them on here right now. Plus, we're obviously going to post this video. It's my favorite class that I've had at Family Reunion yet. I know Family Reunion passed, but this is now my favorite class from Family Reunion. So we're going to post it out. I geek out on this stuff. I love this stuff. But what would you tell? I mean, you've got some powerful agents right now, and I see some names, and you've got some very, very talented, powerful agents watching this right now. I mean, what would you give to them right now? Just kind of finishing up here at the end of our call here.
I would just say that, listen, you know, video works, YouTube works if you're consistent with it. And it's really like anything. So like, not only will you get better over time, but your leads will get better over time. It'll get easier over time, you know, to get more and more business from this. And so just like, you know, if you are calling expireds, like, maybe you pop one, like maybe you post a video and you get a lead that day, right? Same thing with expireds. Maybe you call and you get a listing appointment that day, but most of it's from follow-up, right? And so it takes you time to get better and better and better. So like anything that you do in this business, it takes some time and consistency, and video is no different. And so if you're going to do it, stick with it, you know, commit to it for a year and then reevaluate there on how you can either get better or if you want to continue to do it or not. But yeah, I would just say if you're going to do it, you got to be consistent. And so, and it'll work.
That's fantastic. Well, any other questions from the gallery before we finish up? Contact, how do people contact you in your YouTube? Do you put that at the end, contact me directly or anything like that?
Yeah, just that script that I used earlier. Like, listen, if you're looking to buy or sell, you know, here's my number, my name and number, and then make sure you hit subscribe. You know, that's kind of my call to action. I've lately been inviting people to go to Instagram to follow me like on a daily basis because I post a lot on Instagram, and the amount of engagement there has been incredible. Like, people will message me through Instagram instead of call me. It's a weird thing. But any of you guys, if you guys want to get in touch with me, yeah, follow me on Instagram. Again, I'm super active and love to connect with you guys and hear more about your lives as well.
Well, that's incredible. Let's see, Adam, are there rules on what music you can use? Yeah. I'm sure you've battled that, the music and YouTube, and you don't want to get that's a great question. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's super good. So I use so YouTube actually has a free music platform that if you want to go super free, you can get, they call it royalty free music. Right. And so it's a little hard and clunky to use. We use a company called Epidemic Sound. It's like $100 a year. And you can actually go in and say, hey, I want the mood of my video is moody and I want it to have a certain beat per minute. And you can categorize music that way. And then I can go through and just try a bunch of different samples. And so, so that's what we use, is Epidemic Sound. I did use, when I did Shaq's house, he had a rap song that was really popular in the 90s. I used it and YouTube flagged me, demonetized my video. And so now I've got 167,000 views and I couldn't make any money from it, which kind of pissed me off. But I mean, it fit the mood and I wanted to use it. So I did.
Okay, awesome. Well, again, I mean, I know this crew, thank you so much. You're getting a bunch of love through there. Everybody, if you guys could, you know, follow Ken, obviously whatever works for you, as far as your Instagram, Orlando, Florida. This is the realtor that you're going to refer all your business to. Again, you've got the Ohio Valley region sitting here watching you. So, you know, he's pretty easy to find. Just Google him and you'll find him. And that's the beauty of what he taught us today. So thank you so much.
Thanks for the opportunity.
I just really appreciate it. I took a full page of notes and we're going to mastermind around this as we move forward. Thank you so much.
Thanks, dude. Talk soon. Bye, guys.